guest, Joey Utah, joining me. Joey, the one way we start this every time is what made you join the military? What years were you in? And what was your job while you were in?
Oh, okay. Lots of questions right off the bat. I love it. Okay, so the first one, why I joined the military, it kind of goes back to my childhood. So I grew up in Middletown, New Jersey, and when I was 13 years old, that's when the September 11th attacks happened. And the town I lived in, unfortunately, lost more people in the World Trade Center than any other town in New Jersey. Excuse me. One of those happened to be my best friend's mother, who worked in the North Tower. And I kind of made a decision in the coming weeks that I was going to serve my country in some way. And a lot of that was inspired. It probably shouldn't have been, but I was watching a lot of the footage on TV at the time. Obviously, social media wasn't around back then. But I always had this image in my head of watching the firefighters and NYPD running into the North Tower um, after the South Tower had fallen. And so, it was something that always resonated with me. And I always said that I'm either going to become a firefighter or I'm going to serve in the military. And so fast forward to 2010, the firefighter thing didn't work out for whatever reason. And so I figured it was a good time to join the military. I joined the Air Force and didn't really get to pick my job. So I was given the job of security forces, which is military police for your civilian listeners. And so, I ended up being a cop for 4 years, the one thing I kind of said I wasn't going to do. And I absolutely loved it for, a lot of the same reasons that everyone in the military loves it is the people. And so I served as an MP for 4 years. Um, my biggest takeaway or two biggest takeaways was the discipline factor. If you want to get something done or if you want to progress in your career in the military, it's just a matter of showing up and putting in the work.
Yep.
And then the second thing was I really learned how to communicate with people. Um, people in my leadership, people who were beneath me in rank, people who were my peers. I mean, not that I was in long enough to achieve a lot of rank, but um, excuse me, I just drank a protein shake, so getting a little phlegm coming up. Um, but yeah, man, that was my biggest takeaway was learning how to deal with people and understand them. And did I answer all three questions, Adam?
what years did you serve?
Oh, I'm sorry. 2010 to 2014.
Okay, so did you know going in that you were only going to do 4 years, or was that something you were just kind of playing by ear and seeing how the military worked out for you?
That's a good question. So initially, yes, I was going in with the intention of doing 4 years and then coming out and becoming a firefighter in Jersey City.
Okay, cool. So you had the plan of getting out, being a firefighter. I know that's not what you did.
Mhm.
So would love to hear about your process getting out, what you're doing now, and that's a big time gap, but really what you're doing now and since separating from the military, what has helped you get to where you are and kind of made you the person that you are today?
Yeah, man, it's
Loaded.
pretty, yeah, it's a pretty loaded question, but I love it. So I came out 2014. The firefighter thing did not work out. Um, so my first year, I kind of just took off to kind of understand like what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't really come up with an answer. I knew that I wanted to do something that involved working with other people. I wanted to somehow get myself into a position where I'm managing a team, whether that was in corporate America or working for, a private company. And so I worked a couple of odd jobs when I first came out. I worked for a limousine company, doing some management there. And it really wasn't everything that I hoped it would be. Yeah, and a lot of that was because it wasn't a big company, so there wasn't a whole lot of people in it. So I went back to school. And something I encourage a lot of guys who come out to do is use your GI Bill, and take that time to, you know, earn an income, first of all, because that was my main motivation was I need to pay the bills somehow, right?
Right.
And then secondly, take this time, Joe, to figure out what you really want to do with your life. Get more specific on it. And so around 2017, I really dove into personal development. Just started reading Tony Robbins books. I found out who Jocko Willink was. And at the same time, I had an opportunity to become a health coach. So I started health coaching, and just full transparency, it was network marketing. And I realized that I didn't really love the whole network marketing stuff or health coaching in particular, but I loved coaching others. I loved helping people, set a goal and achieve it, right? And so the next few years, I kind of just started doing that for fun, you know? And then something, a little, again, kind of on accident happened. So I was going through some personal issues at the same time. I was dealing with some depression that I had kind of repressed since I'd come out in 2014. And I just started posting about it on social media, man. I just started posting about, not so much as how sad I was, but about the things I was doing to help myself.
Right.
I got really into health and fitness, got really into going to the gym. I know we were talking about it when you were on my podcast. I'm a lifelong learner. So that was something that helped me in a lot of my darkest days was just picking up a book or watching a YouTube video or whatever it was and learning a new skill. And then what happened was I started having, different friends, guys who I had served with. They would reach out to me and they would ask me for advice. And whether it was, health advice or personal advice, or they were struggling with their depression like myself. And so I really just became an advocate for a lot of my friends and classmates. And man, I can remember, 2018, I had one friend in particular was telling me like, dude, you need to be a life coach. Like, you love this shit. You're doing it for free. You might as well get paid for it. And, something about that title, health, like life coach, like how egotistical am I to go around telling people I'm a fucking life coach? But I finally swallowed the pill in 2019. And I realized, okay, I definitely want to be a coach, right? But I don't know shit about running a business. And so went back to my GI Bill, changed my major to business management. And I actually graduated this past May of 2020. And then I subsequently launched my new coaching business in June.
That's awesome, man. Well, first off, congratulations on that, on the launch, especially during how crazy of a time it is right now. I'm sure that made things a little more difficult. So when you had your friend kind of say to you, like, you should do this for a living, you should be a life coach, was that a little bit awkward for you at first? Were you a little taken aback? Because I'm assuming most people who are in that line of work, I feel like they probably have a similar route as you, where you're doing it for yourself, right? You're working on self-improvement, self-growth, and then you're honestly just trying to help other people, giving them tips. Like you said, had other veterans who were dealing with depression, mental health issues, reaching out for advice. I doubt that at the time when you were giving advice, you were thinking that this was like going to become a career for you or what you were going to do for the rest of your life. So when did it really click? Was it then when your friend told you should be doing this for a living? Or was it something else that made it really click for you? Like, this is what your passion was and what you for sure wanted to be doing for the rest of your life?
That's a great question, man. To be honest, when he said it, it gave me the encouragement and the reassurance that I needed, because I felt like deep down, I always knew that I was going to become a life coach. But, again, just being fully transparent, I never really had those connections at the time. I'm not going to shame like my family or my my social circle at the time, but I didn't have anybody around who really had an interest in what Joey was doing with his life.
Right.
So this friend was kind of the first person who cared enough to like actually understand what I was doing and was like, dude, like you can do it. And I would say that's where, I was like probably like 60% bought in. And then what happened was I went back to school for business and I was kind of like, all right, while I'm going back to school, I'm going to kind of practice my craft. So, I would help other classmates set their goals with passing their classes. I volunteered with the Veterans Club on campus. And same thing, if a kid was struggling with meeting his goals or wasn't passing his classes, I would make time to talk with him and kind of just, and this is what I love so much about coaching is sometimes, it's not that we're teaching or I'm telling somebody what to do. It's really just listening, right?
Right.
And I just made a post about that on LinkedIn. The best coaches aren't the ones who are telling you what you need to do to fix your life. And that's not the approach that I take. The best coaches and leaders in my military experience, in my civilian experience, are the ones who just stopped and actually listened enough to care about what I already knew deep down. And then it's like, oh, okay, I can do it.
That's awesome. So, um, I'm assuming that this business that you have set up, right, where you're going to be coaching people, it's civilians and veterans, right?
Yes. So my target audience right now is young professionals, is what I say.
Okay.
Anybody who's in transition and looking to take the next step in their career.
Cool. And do you already? I mean, I'm assuming that if, as a veteran, if I was looking for a life coach or someone to help me, like you said, planning, setting goals, succeeding those goals, I would personally want to work with a veteran because they would understand the idiosyncrasies and how my mind works and probably what tools would help to motivate me. Yes. Are you already thinking ahead of like, this is the civilian path or this is the civilian like coursework? I'm not sure, the curriculum, whatever you might call it. And then maybe this is the way I would deal with veterans, or is it more going to be just playing it by ear depending on the individual person?
Man, that's another great question, Adam. You're on fire today.
I learned from you. It's fine.
Dude. So my approach is again, I treat each individual, my coaching is 100% customized no matter who I'm working with.
Right.
So whether you're a veteran or a civilian, it's my job to understand how you communicate best. And to do that, I have to really make sure I'm truly listening and hearing what you're saying. With that being said, I have my heart is with the veteran community. I love helping them, especially, with the unfortunate 22-a-day suicide rate. My philosophy, and this is a bold statement I've been told, is that if we help guys, if we can connect with active duty guys before they transition out of the military, and we can connect with them and provide that community and the resources that they need for the next phase of their life, then we are going to be able to, I feel like there's going to be a lot less depression when they come out, because I feel like so many guys fall into depression because they don't have community when they come out. They don't have a sense of purpose. They don't have a mission, right? And so to tie back around and answer your question, I am currently putting together a entirely separate program right now with a couple of other veterans who are also in the transitional coaching space that is geared specifically for our community. But, to answer your question, I don't necessarily have a single approach with any one person, veteran or civilian. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, like I said, listening to them on that discovery call, understanding who they are, how they communicate, and then figuring out if I'm even a good fit for that person.
Right. So it's seeing if that relationship even makes sense in the first place, right? Yeah. Have you had that first interaction with someone where you just have to tell them like, look, hey, I'm not the right person to be coaching you, or how does that work? Or what will you say when that happens?
I actually have, and I have had to, have that conversation. And I let everybody know right from the beginning on a clarity call with me that, my job today is just to understand where you're currently at, where you'd like to be, and what's the gap in between. And I always let them know if I feel like I can help you, I'll definitely let you know what that looks like. If not, I'll be fully transparent. And to answer your question, I have had to decline a few prospects because I didn't feel like, I could help them with their goal. Um, so a specific example I'll give you is, somebody they wanted to build a personal brand around um, politics. And I'm not a political person by any means, but this person wanted to, start a brand on YouTube and wanted to monetize a YouTube channel talking about politics and their beliefs, which is cool, you know? Um, and I had to let that person know, like, hey, I think what, your goal is great. It sounds like you're very passionate about what you want to do. Um, at this time, I don't feel like I'd be the best fit for you, but I'd love to send over some resources. And so, I shared some things with them about how to set goals, and I sent them a link to a political commentator who I think does do a great job on YouTube. Who, I said this could be a great person for you to model your channel after. So, I never burn bridges, or I always try not to, at least. But that's a great question, man, because that's something that I feel like a lot of coaches or a lot of people in business might feel compelled to do business. And, I said to myself as soon as I started this business, like, yeah, I obviously I want to make money doing this. I have to pay the bills, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation or tell somebody I can help them with something if I don't feel 100% confident that I can.
Right. And I'm assuming a part of that is also you need to be confident that whoever you're going to be working with is going to put in the effort on their end, right? I'm sure you know what you're going to do and how you're going to help them, but I'm assuming that requires them putting in effort as well. And
Hmm.
whether, you're giving them assignments, I don't know, journal entry or something like that,
Hmm.
you also have to trust them that they're going to go through that process, right? Or else they may be paying you, but I'm sure this is more than just money for you. It's fulfilling a passion that you have. And that's probably a two-way street between you and the client, right? You could be doing everything right, but if they're not taking it seriously, you're not really coaching them. You're giving them a bunch of tools and they're not using them. So I'm sure that kind of ties into that as well in terms of you selecting who you want to work with.
Yeah, man. And that all comes up throughout the consultation call. So one of the first things that I ask my new prospects is, or I tell them more so, is that you have to be ready to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to be coachable, right? And also you have to remain positive throughout the process because as we know, dude, there's ups and downs to um, every goal that you're trying to achieve. You're going to have a moment where you doubt yourself
Right.
or where you think about quitting. I don't care if it's losing 20 pounds by going to the gym or, getting on LinkedIn and starting to, connect with hiring managers. And we talked about this on my podcast. Like, you really have to get comfortable with rejection because it's going to happen, but you have to keep showing up. Right. And so that accountability factor, man, that's like, in my opinion, dude, that's the biggest part. That's the biggest benefit to having a coach is somebody who's going to keep you accountable, who's going to be there right in the, in your foxhole, letting you know that, hey man, it's normal. Like
Right.
you got shut down, but that doesn't mean you're out of the game. It just means we got to find a new way in. Um, so yeah, man, that's a great question. And that's something that I honestly haven't had a problem with thus far with any of my clients.
That's great. So I know this, I'm sure it's a you're someone like me who is all about continuous improvement and that internal growth, right? How as a coach do you continue to get better and hone your craft more and more? So how do you become a better coach?
Always reading, man. Always reading something or listening to a podcast that is going to improve my skills, make me sharper. Um, something that I learned recently, a great tool that was given to me by a good friend, was always ask yourself whenever you're consuming content, right? Because it's so easy to go on YouTube and just start watching some
Oh, that wormhole. You get
that
lost.
wormhole. So a great tool that I was taught is ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? And so anytime I catch myself in that wormhole, I have to ask myself that, and I have to be brutally honest with myself. Um, and so I subscribe to, certain people on my YouTube channel who I know specifically when I go to check it in the morning, because that's my way of learning, is learning through video. So whenever, Jocko Willing, for instance, every morning when I go on YouTube, I check my subscriptions. I look at, what new videos came out the last day, and I ask myself, is this going to help me or hurt me? And then I even apply that to my client. Is this information going to help this person in some way? Or is this book I'm going to read, is there going to be some kind of value that I can provide to my client from reading it? And then if it's a yes, it's like, cool, go for it. If it's a no, then, I have to practice that discipline, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's okay to go down that wormhole a little
Right.
bit, but in moderation.
I was gonna say it's like treating it like a cheat meal, right? As long as it's
That's a great analogy.
in moderation and every now and then it's fine, but it's when you turn that cheat meal into a cheat week that's when you start seeing the negative effects of it.
Yeah, dude. Unless you're on vacation in like the tropics or
That's
something,
right.
then cheat all week.
And go for it.
Yeah. But if you got clients, man, you got to put their best interest before your own.
Nice. So obviously, without you getting too in detail, right? From the people that you've spoken with right now and clients and prospective clients, would you say that there's a trend that most people who come to you for essentially you being a coach, is there a trend in some of the things that people are looking for? Whether you see it's mostly, they want to take the next step in their career. Is it some intrinsic value? Is it fitness, weight loss? What do you see right now? Or is it kind of just everyone's different. Everyone has different goals. I'm really interested to know what people who I think are courageous enough and have taken that first step to look to like a life coach or a mentor to learn more. I'm always interested, what is the one thing that pushed them to that and actually got them over that hill to start speaking with someone?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would say it's definitely intrinsic. Most people who come to me are looking for more fulfillment, straight up. And so from there, yes, the goals are obviously there's so many different specific goals that people want to achieve, which is why I really like to challenge my clients right from the beginning and just ask them why. Why do you want that? Why do you want to start a personal brand on LinkedIn? Or why do you want to? I've only coached one person on health recently, but it's like, why do you want to lose that 20 pounds? And my philosophy is that like when you really get in touch with why you're doing something, you can kind of create a vision for what you want to achieve. And holding on to that vision is going to be part of what gets you through the down moments where you're not seeing results. And so recently I've had a lot of people, because I did just relaunch my podcast, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me saying how they'd like to start their own podcast as a way to, build a community, as a way to make some extra money, And so it really just comes down to the individual. But I don't know, man. I feel like I'm attracting a lot of people right now who really want to give back and make a positive impact. And I'm all about that. Those are the clients that I prefer to work with the most. It's not to say it's a bad thing if you want to start a podcast to make some additional income, or get that next promotion to make some more money so you have more free time to spend with your family. That's not bad at all, and I think you have to be selfish. But when it's something where it's like, yeah, I want to start this podcast so that I can spread my message of, like right now I'm working with Recalibrate USA, and the owner I'm coaching specifically on how to start a podcast. And he just launched last week. And his whole thing, man, this dude's just super passionate about helping military veterans and first responders by giving them wellness tips, by providing them social connections. I just went on a retreat with them a few weeks ago, which was fucking awesome for myself and the 7 other veterans who went there. So that just motivates me to want to help them even more, right? And so to answer your question, man, a lot of people who are coming to me, I feel like they have high needs to give back in some capacity. And so that's the good stuff, man.
I love it. That's the addicting thing, right? And I think you find that particularly in how we connected, which I would say is the veteran advocacy space. And it is whenever I see someone like yourself or one of the other more active people in our community post a new video, post something, or give out some advice, and you see someone take it to heart and run with it. It's addicting, that feeling of seeing someone learning, helping someone, right? I know I said to you, my favorite things is seeing someone succeed that I know has struggled and has reached out for help and taken the advice. That's one of the most fulfilling things for me, I think, even if I'm not involved in the interaction, just seeing that growth and that process. I think that's what makes it all worthwhile for a lot of people. And I'm assuming, especially for someone like yourself, who your entire, I mean, your life right now is around helping people, right? Whether it's, like you said, it's your profession right now, but I know there's intrinsic value to that also for you. So it's exciting to see, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I feel like over the past few months, there's been a ton of this personal growth focused content online, because of people like Jocko, because of the people like David Goggins out there. And it's not just military people getting involved. It's a lot of civilians, I think, who still connect and still that message still resonates with them. So it's a very exciting time. And it's cool that there's conversations like this that we're having, that there's people like you out there who that's their mission right now and their focus, and that it's working. Like the results are out there. They speak for themselves. So super exciting, I think.
Yeah, man. And I just want to say to that point, dude, I know most of your listeners are military veterans, but anybody can do this stuff. I started doing it. I was never a social media guy, Adam. I had a Facebook in 2017 just to keep in touch with the guys who I'd served with, but I just started sharing my story and people reached out. It was completely accidental. And I think everybody's got a story to tell. I think everybody's been through some kind of struggle in life, whether it's personal or professional. So I think, the more you get in touch with what your story is and what you've done to improve your own life, start putting that shit out there, man. I'm not saying everybody needs to do Facebook Lives or post videos on LinkedIn, but, you can write something. You can write a post giving that advice, passing that wisdom on to someone else. Because to your point, man, there's no better feeling than when you get a personal message. Look, I've had a few posts where I've had 100 likes on it or whatever. And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel appreciated. But when you get one message or one text or whatever, where someone says, "Hey, Joey, you've inspired me to do this," or that last post where you talked about how you had to learn to communicate with civilians and you started being more vulnerable, like it's something I know I need to start doing, and I'm going to start tomorrow. That's like the best thing, man, because like to your point, you're making someone's life better. And I don't need to go around telling that to everybody, but anybody can do that.
Yep.
And that's what creates that intrinsic value that you were talking about.
Definitely. All right. So one last question, and this is a very open-ended, high-level question. But because this is, I would say, primarily focused towards veterans and transitioning personnel, if you had one piece of advice to give someone who's maybe struggling to figure out what they want to do now that they've separated and don't really have an idea of what their career is going to be, and they're in that lost transition phase that a lot of us have found ourselves in, what is step 0 for you?
That's a great question. I would say step zero is figure out who you are. You know, so many guys in the military are so good at memorizing the organizational values, you know, for the Air Force, integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. And they're great values, don't get me wrong. But where a lot of guys slip up is when they come out, they don't know who the fuck they are. Oh, excuse me for cursing.
You're good.
But if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to express the why and the how. You know what I mean? You're just going to be trying to fill a void. Or like myself, I came out and I was like, I just need to work with people. I just need to work on a team. You know, I was worried about the how and the why without really knowing who I was as a person and what my core values were. So take some time. And I think our mutual friend, Rob Renz, you know, he talked about it on one of your previous episodes. You know, if you have the means, take a month, take as much time as you can to just get back in touch with who you are. You know, don't ever forget what you learned from the military, but just know that's one chapter of your life. And there's a lot of good things you can take that you've learned. You know, like myself, I learned how to connect with people in the military. I learned how to apply discipline, but there's a lot of things from the military that I don't apply in my life every day. And that's okay. So step zero, I would say, is get in touch with who you are and don't judge yourself. You know, don't beat yourself so hard when something doesn't work, you know, and that goes to your point, that you made on my show, was get comfortable being uncomfortable, because you're going to get rejected. You're going to fail. Things aren't going to work. You know, I worked like 15 different jobs since I got out, and I'm grateful for all of them, man, because they all taught me something that I either wanted to keep doing in my life or something I definitely did not want to do. So enjoy the process.
Love it, man. Well, this was a great conversation. I want to thank you again for coming on. Before I let you go, I'd love for you to plug your LinkedIn page, plug your business, your podcast, of course, as well. Wherever people can reach your content, go ahead and let them know.
I appreciate you, brother. So yeah, I'm mostly on LinkedIn right now. So I deleted Instagram a few months ago. I realized I was using it for all the wrong reasons. But right now you can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Joey Utah. And the podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, and Google Play. And it's called the Joes to Pros podcast. And Adam, I'm grateful that you're going to be my next episode. So for your listeners who love listening to your content, you're going to get a double dose of them this next 2 weeks. So, yeah. And if you need help with anything, or especially to my military veterans who are out there, I always offer free coaching calls to anyone out there. So I'm happy to offer my services for free to veterans.